To you as Mr. Nissan, Mr. Clayton, as well as Ms. Schmidt-Teagan. We've heard several witnesses, different witness groups, everything from groups that are working with LGBTI refugees to Yazidi refugees themselves, saying that the UN selection process for vulnerable minorities is flawed. And I really don't think that this is a partisan issue by any stance. It's just becoming a fact that's coming out of testimony. Some of the areas of flaws that have been mentioned are very lengthy delays. One Yazidi man showed or had an appointment from one of the refugees in the camps for 2022. He talked about discrimination based on religion executed by the UN officers. These are difficult things for us to talk about. We kind of don't want to talk about these things. But I'm wondering if these are things that have actually been, if in your experience as on-the-ground organizations, you can validate. And if we should be, as a government, talking to the United Nations, which does excellent work, but if they're asking us to accelerate the asylum claims of Yazidi applications, we had somebody from the UN in the room here earlier this week. They weren't able to tell us that they've taken any measures to rectify some of these issues that, if we're relying on their lists and they're not giving us those names, there's a problem. So I'm wondering if you can validate that testimony, or if you can expand on it, or, if it's not factually correct, let us know. But I think that this is something important that we have to talk about and not turn a blind eye to as a result of this committee. So I don't know, Ms. Teagan-Schmidt or Schmidt-Teagan, I know you're on the ground there. Would you like to begin?
Sure. I can say that much of what you've heard is true. Just today, I got two reports that I found disturbing. One was the report of some of our workers visiting a refugee who had an appointment for 2021 and was told maybe not even 2021, it might be 2022. So I can confirm that that is definitely true, and it makes no sense to me why the UNHCR cannot be providing refugees. That was just for refugee status. That wasn't even for immigration. That was just for status as a refugee to be able to move forward in the immigration process. The other report that I received today was from Greece, which was a Yazidi, one of our Yazidi beneficiaries commented to one of our workers that it was really hard for them because they were still living in Muslim context, and the Muslim NGO workers that were serving them were, after hours, overheard calling them all sorts of names.
Interrupt you there. So this is a difficult topic to discuss. And I think it got glossed over in the last committee meeting. So we had Yazidis say that they had experienced discrimination by Muslim UNHCR workers. I know this is something that's very difficult for us to talk about, and but are you validating that particular comment with this anecdote?
I am, yes.
Mr. Nissan, did you want to comment, just with the time I have remaining?
Yeah, I could speak to my own personal family. I had an uncle who was in Syria. When Khabur fell, he still remained there to help the internally displaced people to kind of evacuate the region, if you will, and try to find accommodation and shelter in Hasake. His daughter is now living in Sweden. His son is in Germany. And he's in Canada now, finally, after 2 years of paperwork. Him, his wife, and his youngest daughter are now in Hamilton. So that was also through private sponsorship. So they're living with his brother. So it is a long and lengthy process, absolutely. And they are at the point of desperation where they're willing to tear apart their entire family just for the safety and security of Western nations. So we're seeing lots of families in the similar state where you have some in Europe, some in Australia, some in Canada, U.S., but they don't care as long as they're alive. They'll figure out a way to reunify later. But right now, get out of there, and that's their only mindset.